Animals. Who doesn't love them? But have you ever seen an animal do something so intelligent, so human, that it makes you question everything you thought you knew? If not, you'd better strap in, from orangutans donning suits to dogs driving cars. It's time to take a look at some moments of animal genius that are guaranteed to amaze you. Monkey see. When you think of clever animals, you probably go straight to primates. They're like poster children for animal intelligence. However, although apes like chimpanzees are our closest relatives, monkeys are also capable of some pretty dang impressive feats. And this one in particular has recognized the importance of good dental hygiene. Aw, see, monkeys in the wild will imitate one another in order to survive. If a monkey sees one of its family feeding from a particular tree, it'll assume that tree to be safe and eat from it too. So, monkeys kept as pets will often imitate their human owner's behavior. This cute critter's name is Eli. He's a pet monkey living in Texas, and because he's seen his mom and dad brushing their teeth, he's adopted that behavior himself. Pretty crazy, right? That said, if there's one thing I wasn't expecting to see a monkey do, it's this. Yes, this is a capuchin, wearing a diaper, using a vending machine, and that's a sentence I didn't think I'd ever say. The monkey lives at Japan's Tohoku Safari Park and has obviously seen his fair share of visitors grabbing themselves drinks. I'd probably have kept the change though. Indeed, capuchins are some of the most intelligent monkeys in the world, with a great knack for learning and remembering, leading many to land starring roles in movies. But outside of Hollywood, they're known for their love of tools. Take this absolute renegade. Jeez, this capuchin lives in a Chinese zoo, but apparently doesn't like it too much. The solution? Sharpen a rock and use it for an escape attempt. It looks like the little guy hadn't been expecting such a dramatic smash though. The truly amazing thing is that he must have figured out an escape method all of his own accord. No zookeeper would have demonstrated it. Hopefully he's doing fine now and hasn't felt the need to get up to any monkey business again. Drama queen. Nearly a third of adults suffer from ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes. I may or may not be one of them. But what about snakes that have phobias of their own? This is the hognose, a strange little serpent found in the eastern U.S. with a very clever defense mechanism. If a predator gives him a scare, he reacts like this. Yep, the hognose will theatrically fake its own death, with a performance that's equal parts Oscar and Razzie worth. But this little reptile is venomous, so why doesn't it just attack? Well, although the venom works on the small amphibians and birds that the hognose eats, it's useless against its larger predators, like raccoons. So if threatened, the slippery snake resorts to theatrics instead. Hungry hunters much prefer live prey where possible because scavenging from the dead carries the risk of catching a nasty disease. So if they think the hognose is history, they'll likely leave it alone. Now, why don't you prove you're smarter than the average snake and hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? And that way you'll never have to miss another fascinating fact again. All finished? Awesome. Let's dive right into some more genius animals then. Canny cats. If you're anything like me, you've got a fuzzy feline sat next to you right now, staring at you with a perpetually disappointed expression. Admittedly, my cat might just hate my face, but there's another reason they act so snobbishly. Despite rarely being associated with intelligence, they can actually be exceptionally smart. Not Tom and Jerry smart. You probably won't see one hunting down mice with a shotgun anytime soon, but they're still clever. Back in August 2022, an American family found this out in hilarious fashion. They'd just moved into a new house in New York City, but their cat Lily apparently didn't like it there and ran away. This is surprisingly common for cats moving to new places. Less common, however, is what happened a week later. Lily not only found her way back home, but went directly for the Ring doorbell to ensure her family knew she was back. It even sounds like she meows mom at one point. Aw, see, this is why I'm a cat person. Is there anything they do that isn't cute? Well, actually, there might be. According to the owners, this clever kitty learned to use the bathroom all by itself, which is insanely brainy, yes, but I can't help but think back to that teeth-brushing capuchin. Did our feline friend learn by watching his owners every time they went number 2? I can barely go if there's someone waiting outside, never mind intensely staring at me from across the room. A whale of a time. Though cats generally aren't known for their intelligence, whales are widely regarded as some of the most intelligent creatures on Earth. Beluga whales are an especially striking species, capable of great empathy and able to learn super quickly. Plus, they're cute as buttons. This clip went viral in 2019, showing off just how smart these bubbly belugas can be. This friendly guy fetches the rugby ball, plays around with it a bit, and returns it. Oh, the clip took the internet by storm and was viewed by millions of people. After doing some digging, though, I found out it doesn't tell the whole story. The beluga in question was identified as one named Valdemir, first found by fishermen in 2019. Back then, the whale was malnourished and wearing a tight harness with a camera on it, labeled Equipment St. Petersburg. Pretty weird, right? The harness was removed, and the whale fed before being set loose. But the odd encounter led to all manner of crazy theories. Some people are insistent it was being used by the Russian government as a spy. I don't know about that, but Russia does train military dolphins, so it might not be too much of a stretch. Regardless, Valdemir's ball fetching may be cute, but he really just needs to be left alone to readjust to life in the wild. Fortunately, some kind souls have set up a charity called One Whale to help monitor and look out for our little buddy. Godspeed, Valdemir, you genius sea mammal, you. So like us. Apes are humankind's closest living relatives. Naturally, this makes them amongst the most intelligent animals on the planet, and it shows. When a zookeeper accidentally left his broom inside a chimpanzee enclosure, this simian knew exactly what to do. Damn, at this stage, he could probably just fire the zookeepers. I'm sure old Chimpy here would do a grand job of taking care of himself. He's not just randomly sweeping. He clearly understands the purpose is to clean. The mess-aware ape was even seen dipping the broom into water like a mop. Amazing. Chimpanzees share a whopping 99% of their DNA with us, so it's unsurprising they pick up on our behaviors quickly. At the Welsh Mountain Zoo, guests were amazed when one of the chimps communicated in a very human manner. This guy's seen humans pointing and adopted it himself. Whoever said apes love bananas obviously got it wrong. It's pretty obvious they'd rather be sat sipping from a cool bottle of Mountain Dew, or at least licking it up from a crack in the window. But as clever as chimps are, orangutans are also a strong contender for most intelligent ape. And as a couple of visitors to a private zoo in Dubai found, they also have style.
No, he's taking your jacket off.
Oh my God.
Take it off, help him. Help him.
Oh my God.
Take it off.
Oh my
Oh, you might put your coat on, bro.
No, it's fine, let him take it off.
That's sick.
Oh my God.
Yo,
Look,
it's gone.
You can try to put it on.
Gonna put it on, bro?
He's not gonna put it on.
Bro, he's gonna put it on, bro.
He's not gonna put it on.
Nah!
Oh my God.
Yo, they're humans.
Wow.
Wait,
Oh my God. Did you try to zip it up? But he didn't.
Oh, he's back to front. Nah, that is a legend.
Dang, that's one fancy-looking young man. And these guys can express a whole range of emotions and have great memory recall, and can even nail basic math. So it shouldn't be too surprising to see one popping on a jacket. I think this is way more than a simple case of mimicry, though. I mean, we share 97% of our DNA with orangutans, and that's gotta mean something, right? Maybe the little dude just wanted to fit in. Displays of intelligence and comprehension like these are undeniably impressive. But I can't help but think of Planet of the Apes, especially after seeing this worrying video. All right. This was just marketing for a movie. The apes aren't gonna be taken over anytime soon. But I had you for a second, didn't I? Berry friendly. Now, you shouldn't get close to bears. They're big and dangerous, and they will eat you. Now, that said, they're also super smart and surprisingly cute.
You are so lazy.
These bears live in a Japanese rehabilitation park, and they're not just waving to say hi. They do it because they've learned being cute makes people more likely to give them treats. So, it only makes sense to turn on the charm if it leads to some extra honey. Bears need to eat a lot during the end of the summer season to prepare themselves for hibernation, a period where they eat nothing at all. So, when they need to pack on the pounds, they'll ask humans for a handout. Now, that said, if you live somewhere bears are found, don't feed them. It can encourage the big furballs to rely on people rather than fending for themselves, and also put you in danger of, becoming the food. Ugh. I can't even bear the thought. Rat rescuers. This is a giant pouched rat. These African natives aren't like other rats, though. Oh no. A certain group of them have dedicated their lives to saving others. Seriously. A non-profit group named Apopo sends these rodents to a special boot camp where they're trained to be super rats. Yeah, you heard right. Over the course of 9 months, these not-so-little guys undergo an intense regime. Using their incredible sense of smell, the rats are taught to seek out unexploded landmines, so their human partners can disarm them. Every time they successfully find the TNT, they're rewarded with a banana. But that's not all they're trained to do. The heroic rats are also used to locate survivors of natural disasters like earthquakes. Equipped with little backpacks containing a microphone and a camera, the rats set off into the disaster zone and sniff out any potential survivors. The human rescuers watch their progress, and if they find any survivors, they can communicate with them via the microphones. The rats have even been trained to pull a switch on their backpacks that shares their location when they find a survivor. Insane. But hold on, why doesn't Apopo use, dogs? Well, giant pouched rats are easily intelligent enough for the job and have a comparable sense of smell. But unlike dogs, they're relatively small and can squeeze into hard-to-reach places. Plus, they can scour an area the size of a tennis court in just 30 minutes and detect TNT in amounts as small as 29 grams. That's less than the weight of an average light bulb. Man, if you still don't like rodents at this point, then rats, I don't know what else to tell you. Escapedopus. My mom always said that I had a big brain, but I've also got an abnormally large head, so it makes sense. Octopuses, on the other hand, have the largest brains in relation to their bodies of any invertebrate. What's more, as well as their main brain, they've got a miniature brain in each of their 8 arms. Yeah, seriously. This means they can use them all independently of one another and with great speed and intricacy. The smarty pants have even been observed using tools, solving puzzles, and even remembering specific people. And all this intellect comes in mighty handy if they ever want to, say, escape from a closed glass jar. Damn. It takes the octopus less than a minute to analyze the situation, understand how the lid works, and remove it, allowing it to escape. That's seriously impressive for any animal, let alone one without hands. But who needs hands when you've got 8 arms, 9 brains, and the flexibility of a gymnast who's just had a full-body massage? The hairy Houdini. If you can cast your mind back a few minutes, you'll remember I said orangutans are some of the most intelligent animals in the world. Yet one orangutan, born back in 1971 at the San Diego Zoo, would prove to be so incredible he'd become world famous. His name? Ken Allen. When he was young, Ken would unscrew the bolts of his cage to explore his nursery and play at night. Even more amazingly, he'd put it all back together before his keepers arrived the next morning. This kind of behavior would go on to define Ken. As a young adult, he shared his first enclosure with another male named Otis. Ken and Otis didn't get along at all, so keepers moved Ken into a separate enclosure to prevent fighting. This enclosure had very high walls and a moat surrounding it. And shortly after this, during zoo opening hours, Ken got past the moat, scaled the large walls of his new enclosure, and broke out, before wandering around and viewing the other animals with the visitors. The orangutan was friendly, relaxed, and when staff eventually caught up with him, he returned peacefully to his cage. After this, Ken shot into the media spotlight and was dubbed the Hairy Houdini. People would visit the San Diego Zoo just to see the sneaky primate. To avoid any further mischief, the zoo made the walls of Ken's enclosure 4 feet taller. It wasn't enough. Just a few weeks later, Ken made yet another daring escape. Once again, he casually wandered the zoo. This time, however, he returned to his previous enclosure and was found throwing rocks at his old nemesis, Otis. The zookeepers eventually caught up with him and returned him to his own enclosure, but now they were getting really exasperated. Ken was put under constant supervision, and to avoid detection, the staff watching him went undercover as visitors. To be doubly sure, they also installed an electric fence. Finally, it seemed Ken had been bested. But 2 years later, a technical fault caused the moat to dry up, something Ken immediately took advantage of. After walking through the dry moat, he hoisted himself through a previously hidden gap in the enclosure and made yet another escape. Once more, he wandered the zoo, posing for photos with visitors, and once more he was captured and returned to his enclosure. Now, to try and distract Ken from escaping again, staff put some female orangutans in there with him. You know what Ken did? He taught them how to escape as well. After the escaped females were brought back, the zoo spent another $45,000 on security measures. And this, at last, led the Hairy Houdini to abandon his dreams of freedom and settle down. But not before making a name for himself as the sneakiest primate that ever lived. Brainy birds. Calling someone bird-brained is basically calling them stupid, but it really shouldn't be. Some birds are anything but stupid, and gray parrots are amongst the smartest of the lot. As well as being able to learn human speech, they can basically count and solve problems. All this means they've been the subject of lots of scientific experiments.
He knows about a dozen different objects. He does know 5 colors. Orange, good boy.
Pretty amazing, right? Animal psychologist Irene Pepperberg has been working with African gray parrots for decades. Her most famous, however, was a male called Alex. So what made Alex so special? Well, he was the first and only animal to have ever asked an existential question. Seriously. One day he looked at himself in the mirror and asked Irene what color he was. So, this guy was apparently self-aware. Jeez. But gray parrots aren't the only bird super geniuses. Lovebirds are another type of parrot, and it turns out they're so smart you can train them to play basketball. These avian eggheads have learnt they need to pop the ball into the opposing team's hoop to score. And because lovebirds are so intelligent, they get bored easily and need lots of cognitive stimulation. So, learning and playing a sport is perfect entertainment for them. But that doesn't mean you can't put them to work at the same time. Check out this incredible parrot who's learned how to sort and tidy items into separate boxes. Man, I could do with one of those. Though, the way he shut the door makes me think he might not enjoy the activity so much. Alongside parrots, one of the smartest group of birds are corvids, the same family crows and ravens belong to. This is Corpy the raven, and she's showing off exactly what I'm talking about. Corvids can use tools, solve complex puzzles, and even remember individual humans. In fact, a recent study found that ravens as young as 4 months old are just as intelligent in some areas as apes. That's bananas. Yet, of all the crazy clips I've seen, it's not a parrot or a corvid that takes the prize for brainiest moment. It's actually a jungle myna, which is a type of starling. Believe it or not, starlings are super clever, and as well as being able to talk like parrots, they can also learn to do this. That's right, this bird is a thief. It's been trained to collect cash, and judging by that drawer, it's very good at it. Alright, so it's not actually a thief. It picks up lost cash from the floor rather than stealing it. But I wonder, if it's capable of that, could you train a few of these guys to, I don't know, rob a bank or something? It's tempting, sure, but we don't want our avian amigos to become jailbirds, do we? I'll see myself out. Clever canines. Dogs, man's best friend. As well as being oh so loving, they can learn hundreds of words, perform all kinds of tricks, and are even capable of basic math. It's not done purely for our benefit either. Dogs thrive when given roles or tasks. They want to earn those treats and belly rubs. Even without training, though, a dog will improvise if left to their own devices. Yep, nobody taught Zippy here how to play a solo game of fetch. The resourceful hound figured it out all by himself. The result is equal parts adorable and mesmerizing. Well, he'll sleep well tonight. If Zippy had been able to straight up tell his owner he wanted to play, though, he might never have had to puzzle it out by himself. Unfortunately, dogs can't speak, but they can learn to communicate in wildly human ways, like this cute Rottweiler.
Want broccoli? Broccoli. You want cheese? Want carrot? No? You want cheese?
Wow, nonverbal communication is integral for animals, and dogs are no exception. What is exceptional here is that this dog has learned to mimic human communication without any training. He's just been around his owners long enough to work it out. Seeing dogs do people things always entertains and amazes me. But just how human can our canine companions really get? Well, it turns out, very. Meet Secret, an Australian shepherd dog who had some crazy talent. Her equally talented owner, Mary, trained her from a young age, and the two developed an inseparable bond, one that led Secret to learn all manner of incredible skills, from the fun to the practical. Secret had a huge repertoire of talents, and I mean huge. She even trusted Mary enough to carry out a trust fall. Oh, heartbreakingly, Secret passed away back in May 2022. I'm not crying. You are. But the legacy of this genius pooch continues in the form of Mary's new pup, Promise. And Mary wasted no time getting her training program underway. I'm sure under her wing, Promise will become a super dog worthy of Secret's legacy. And for all Mary's amazing mentoring, however, there's one thing she doesn't teach. Just take a look at this. No, you aren't losing it. New Zealand charity, the SPCA, have actually managed to teach this model student, Monty, and many other dogs to drive. The doggy drivers are first taught to push buttons and change gears outside of a vehicle, before moving on to a dummy cart where they learn to steer. After 7 weeks of training, the pooches are finally ready to get behind the real wheel. Not on actual roads, of course. They stick to a training track, but I'm still absolutely floored by this one. It's like something straight out of a cartoon. Now, why do the SPCA dedicate so much time to this, though? It's not like we're gonna see barking taxi drivers anytime soon. Well, the SPCA rescues abandoned dogs. So, by demonstrating how incredibly intelligent the poor puppers are, they hope to attract more potential owners to rehabilitate them. A noble cause. And it really does show that with enough positive reinforcement like treats, the clever canines can do almost anything. They'll even do your shopping for you. This is Duo, a helpful little dog who goes to the market every day to buy her owner's groceries. She knows exactly where to go and even makes sure to wait for change. Man, if I had a dog that went shopping for me, I'd never leave the house again. As much of a hero as Duo is, though, it's time to take a look at a real lifesaver. This kid lost his ball in the pond, and his dog noticed. As soon as the young boy tries to get closer to fish it out, the dog senses danger and pulls him away to safety. Whoa, but he's not done. Oh no. Wow, I don't know what's more impressive, the dexterity with which this goodest of boys used the net, or the fact that he used it at all. Then again, the dog in question is a German Shepherd, one of the most intelligent dog breeds in the world. They're used as everything from police dogs to guide dogs, and it's not hard to see why. That was one of the most impressive animal feats I've ever seen. And I'm afraid that brings this video to a close. Which of those clips did you think was the most impressive? And has your pet ever done anything so clever it made you do a double take? Let me know down in the comments below, and thanks for watching.